back with Ask the Guru, and I am going to answer today the most common question. It's probably something you're thinking about right now, or have at least contemplated at some point already today. And the question is, how do I get out of my head? So many of us are aware that the impact our mind has on creating the outcome of our life. Really, our thoughts can create the perception that we're having of the moment. So, for example, I could be in the most beautiful setting, the man of my dreams is next to me and I'm on the beach somewhere and it's everything I ever dreamed of. And yet I allow a thought like maybe he doesn't really love me, or what if he stops loving me, or something like this. And it's not actually happening, and it's not in the moment, but it does change my perception of the moment and my ability to find joy in that moment. So it is so important that we learn how to redirect the mind, get it back on track, how to stop this sort of negative thinking. And especially when that is stopping our forward movement. If you know that your mind is somehow impacting your ability to find joy right now, that in this moment, right where you sit, worries, fears, negative thinking is flowing through your mind and stopping you from noticing all of the blessings in this moment, or experiencing gratitude or joy, or even stopping you from being productive. Because sometimes we can get so stuck in our head that now we're no longer even taking forward movement in our day. We can't even get out of the bed because it's such a burden. And the mind is just bogged down with so many negative thoughts about what could happen as we get out of the bed. Or maybe we're just mad at ourselves for not getting out of the bed. So we're there in this state of frustration. And regardless, we recognize the power of the mind and its ability to impact the moment. And since the moment is all we ever really have, if we can't find joy in this moment, if we feel stuck, then we're not going to experience a life that we're enjoying. We're not going to be able to find the joy that we were meant to have. Sometimes I feel like we forget that we're here in these bodies on a journey of joy, that really everything that we do, we should be playing through this life. We shouldn't be so, bogged down with this negative thinking. So how do we do that? How do we change the mind when we do get, and every single one of us finds ourselves just caught in the tailspin, in that spiral, and we start to feed the thoughts. It just starts with the one thought. It's that thought, he doesn't love me, and then suddenly the mind, whose only job really is to categorize. It is to sift. It is to find more like thoughts, more like things. So it's going to validate your thought. It's going to look for evidence of it. So again, as we look at that moment through the filter now of he doesn't love me, suddenly we're looking for evidence of it. So we start to see, oh, he's not even looking at me. He doesn't even notice that I'm sitting here upset. He isn't, and we start to validate. And just as quickly as we could have gone the other direction and noticed all the ways that he loves me, I could have been, oh, he's right here with me. Look, he traveled to this beach to spend time with just me, quality time. There's a very different filter I could have been looking through, and then the mind would have looked for evidence to validate that thought as well. But why do we choose the negative thought? Why do we so often shift into the fear thoughts and the worry thoughts and then start to build a story and evidence and validate them? And when we notice ourselves doing that, how do we pull ourselves out of it? These are the most common questions. And I'm going to give you some wonderful formulas and tools to help pull you out of those spiraling thoughts. So that you don't go all the way down, because once you're all the way down, it is heavy. We feel so weighed down in that place of negativity. And again, it is really hard to see the blessings from a place of fear, of lack, of scarcity, of negative thinking, of what if it all falls apart. We can't really find solutions there. We can't really find grace there. Or what we need to do is find our way into the light, into a space of, I'm so blessed, finding something to be grateful for, finding something in that moment that feels good, a thought that feels good. Like, for example, a puppy or a baby, or somebody that you know is a safe person to think about that will love you unconditionally. And thinking of those things, and something that is just a little bit better than where you are. And again, that doesn't have anything to do with your external circumstances. It has everything to do with where are you mentally. You could be in the worst scenario. There's people that live in third world countries. They live in conditions that you probably couldn't even fathom, and yet they find joy in every moment. See, they aren't looking for what's wrong. They don't have an expectation of anything else, so they can find joy there. And then here, we could find ourselves, in the most beautiful setting, and yet have these negative thoughts, and suddenly it doesn't matter where we are anymore. So it really is, what filter are you viewing your experience through? And how do we change the filter? How do we shift when we start noticing the mind going into negative thoughts? One of the most powerful tools that I have is my breath. And I know this is something we hear all the time. It's like, breathe. But think about that. Why do we hear it all the time? Maybe because it works. Maybe when we know that somebody is in a panic state and they're totally freaking out, that one thing that they can do is just, hey, take a deep breath. Just take a slow, deep breath. And it causes and creates a pause in the rippling thoughts of fear, of negativity. And the breath is very much tied to the heart rate, and the heart rate to the breath. So it's like they're two best friends that play, and they can rile each other up or calm each other down. So one slow, long, deep breath can actually start to slow the heart rate down as well. It can say everything's okay, and then we come back into that space where now we can assess the actual situation, what is happening, and we can choose our next thought. We can choose to pick a thought that is a little bit better than the one we were just thinking. So maybe we just look for the positivity in the moment, the joy in the moment. So try this right now, wherever you are. Pause and take a slow, deep breath. And try and fill all the way up with this breath. Don't struggle with it. Don't create a hardship around it. Just a slow, deep breath. And then hold the breath at the top. Sit in it for a moment. Notice for a moment. And then create a slow, long exhale. Try and make the exhale equal to the inhale, or even a little bit longer. The longer we make the exhale, it'll actually help find calm in the body. The more of the carbon dioxide that we expel, it's going to now bring in more fresh oxygen with the next inhale, and this is going to tell the body everything's okay. So do 2 or 3 of these breaths, just slow, long breaths, and notice if you've created a pause in your mind. Just a slow, deep breath. And now into that pause that you've created, insert a thought that feels good. Maybe it's just the thought that I'm so blessed to have this couch. I'm so blessed to have a full refrigerator. Look for something that feels good. My healthy body. And if not all of the body parts are healthy, focus on the ones that are and be grateful for them. Don't focus on what is broken. Focus on what's working and start to create more of that. So this is just like any other muscle that we exercise. exercising this muscle in the mind to shift the mind away from negative thinking into positive thinking is just as difficult, especially if you're coming in with a super weak muscle. It may be something you've never exercised before. You know, in our lives, we are actually given more accolades for fearful thinking. If somebody is really good at analyzing all the things that could go wrong, we tend to celebrate them. You know, those people that are really safe, you know, we celebrate our children when they're really cautious, you know, and they're checking all of the boxes and they aren't living outside of the box. We celebrate them. And so to do that, to live inside of the box, you have to constantly be aware of those lines. And those lines are limiting beliefs. They are designed to limit you, to keep you inside the box, and you created them. And we all have them, you know. My beliefs that limit me are also there. And, you know, it might just be something like I can't fly. You know, who knows if this keeps me from jumping off of roofs. I know I can't fly. And so you may have a belief that is a little bit more restrictive, you know, a limiting belief. And so all of our beliefs, no matter what they are, if you say, I believe, whatever is followed after that creates a parameter that you live your life within. And so this is something you should know. You should know what it is that you believe. Where are your boundaries? Where are your parameters? Start to know, analyze, are those parameters limiting you? And are they causing you to maybe live a less full life? Are you feeling stifled? Are you feeling like you are stuck? Are you feeling like maybe you are diminishing your light? Like you're not fully living in your purpose, in your passion, because you're living in your safe zone. And that's okay as long as it is not causing you to feel this lack of joy. And are we exercising the wrong muscle? Are you exercising the muscle of what could go wrong instead of the muscle of what could go right? So we always want to be aware of where are our boundaries in our life. And notice that those can change, which is why we want to keep looking at them. When you were a child, you may have been gifted boundaries, limiting beliefs by all the people around you. Or they could have been created by you, but again, that was going to be a result of your circumstances. Because you had to create these beliefs in order to survive. You know, maybe you lived in an unsafe environment as a child. Again, this was not something that you created for yourself. This is something that was gifted to you. But there you were in this experience. And so it was necessary to learn from mom and dad how to navigate this environment and be safe and survive. So we rely on our mom and dad, just like in the animal kingdom, you know, the tigers teach the little cubs, you know, this is important. We need to learn this. But then say that tiger now gets moved into a lovely house. Now it becomes a house pet somehow and, you know, lives with Mike Tyson. And so now this tiger is not out in the wild. It doesn't have to fend for its food anymore. So we can sort of change the way that it acts, behaves. It doesn't need to eat Mike Tyson or view him as a threat. This is instead the person that's delivering him food. This is how he's getting it. So that tiger has to change everything. Well, the same thing could be true for you. If you grew up in an environment where, you know, you needed to be fearful, you have to look at where are you now? And have you carried those beliefs, those habits with you? And are they limiting you? I mean, maybe you've completely elevated yourself out of that and now you live in an entirely new environment and those things are no longer necessary. Those thought processes, those fears, those habits. And so taking time to analyze that and notice where you are, and now have to alter the program that was set into place, change the program, and start to create new beliefs.
To summarize, your beliefs create the boundaries that you live within. If you want to expand your world, change your circumstances, you have to start by looking at your beliefs, as they may be what is causing you to stay stuck. You are meant to live the life of your dreams. Limitless, boundless, expansive, filled with love and joy and endless happiness. And you are the creator of your life. I am urging you right now to consider pausing, taking a deep breath, and inserting into the space that you create through one cycle of breath the thought that feels good. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe below, and I look forward to sharing more.